Hello everybody and welcome back to Robert's Reviews. Today we are doing another MCU review. For those of you who are just joining the channel, because a lot of you are starting to watch my videos that are new, we're about mid-series of the MCU now. We're approaching the mid-series of the entire MCU. And today we are doing a continuation of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4 was released in 2016. And there's a lot to talk about in Season 4. So I watched Season 4 about 4 months ago. You see, when I started the channel, I started in September, but I started binge watching all the MCU stuff in order, which I've already done before, but I wanted to do it again and include all the shows this time around. I started that in like May, so I watched this probably early August. So I just watched a recap to remind myself what happened. I just remembered this is a fantastic season, so I'm really excited to talk about it. There's a lot of new stuff to go over, so I'm going to do a quick recap first, and then briefly describe why I thought this season in particular was so fantastic. So we start the season off with a new director. I didn't write the name down, I forgot the name, but we have a new director who is implementing a new system of ranking. So if you remember, there were like classes in the original series, the original season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where Coulson was top tier and he knew everything, and then everyone else below only had classified information that they needed to know. This is similar, but it's a little bit more dramatic now because we are more familiar with the characters. Like, Simmons is ranked higher than May, so Simmons knows more than May, which doesn't seem fair because May has always been top dog with Coulson. So it's interesting that we have that kind of balance of power. And that's only brief, really. It was really only to have something else to focus on with those characters. I think the main story happens with Daisy, where she goes rogue, which she kind of went rogue at the end of the last season when her boyfriend died. But we see her being very, very rogue and just kind of being by herself and doing her own thing. And Coulson and Mac particularly are searching for her, but the new director doesn't want them to anymore because it doesn't seem like their problem. Meanwhile, a weapon blows up, and it turns people into like these weird, cool ghosts. Good for the special effects crew. I don't really know how they did it, but they made these people, and they were definitely people. I don't think they were animated. They looked really good. They made them look translucent. My guess is probably they used negative footage. They probably took the positive of the footage, then made a negative, and then made a positive on top of the negative, therefore giving them the translucent look. That's my guess. It's a lot of work, but it's probably the only way that I can see how doing that, unless they just kind of masked it and kind of cropped them out and then made them translucent, which is also possible. Either way, good job. It looked really good, particularly for a ghost. And for those of you who are curious, I do mean like ghost, like they can walk through things. I don't mean like ghost like from Ant-Man and the Wasp, which will be a future video, so subscribe if you want to see that video. We finally get to meet Ghost Rider, who basically just chills by himself. He has a brother. I forgot what his actual name is in this. I think it's the same name as before, but I'm not entirely positive, so I'm not going to say it. But we do meet Ghost Rider, and he is played by Gabriel Luna. For those of you who are aware, I'm not showing pictures for most people because we've talked about them throughout the other series, but this is a new character, and I love Ghost Rider. Always loved Ghost Rider. I think Nick Cage's performance in the first film, and I think there was a second film too, Spirit of Vengeance, something like that, was bad, in my opinion, just wasn't very good. This seemed a lot better by Gabriel Luna. It seemed to be easier for him to portray it than Nicolas Cage, in my opinion. That being said, it was a very different Ghost Rider. In Ghost Rider in the movie, he's a cool guy and he's popular and like everyone knows him. In this, he's just like a low kind of guy. He's kind of by himself and he fixes cars in his downtime. And he's dealing with his own criminals. And he's a good character. I'm not going to go too far into it because I do have a lot to talk about today. But if you're interested in Ghost Rider, this is definitely the season for you. It's a very solid season that does introduce him in a very good way and makes the audience, in my opinion, immediately like him. Even though I think the design for the character wasn't particularly good. Like, his eyebrows, when he like bends his eyebrows when he's the Ghost Rider, if you don't know Ghost Rider, he's like complete skeleton, but he's on flames. But they made it so like when he moves his eyebrows, his skull bends a little bit, and like it just looks really weird. And his skull looks weird. I don't get why they had to make the skull look so weird. I feel like if they to really sell on the fact that it's just a skull, they should have just used an actual skull. Not like an actual skull, obviously, but like for the concept, they should have used an actual skull instead of like this weird like curvy thing that they decided to use. That's definitely a negative in my opinion. It distracted me every time they used it on screen until the later episodes when I finally got over it. But for the first few episodes, I was like, oof, that doesn't look very good. May touches one of the ghosts and kind of goes crazy, and in between this transition, we also see that Dr. Radcliffe builds Ada, who is we saw her a little bit in the end of last season, but in this season, she's the forefront. She's the reason the season exists, and she's a robot, essentially. Incapable of feelings, but is capable of thinking by herself. That's important for later. But she decides that she wants to take May, and so she takes May into all this, like, while she's going crazy with the ghost thing. After all of that, takes her, and then creates a robotic double for her, which I'll get into in a little bit, but I just want to bring that up. Simmons has to kill May, right? So May is going crazy because of the ghost. So Simmons has to kill her and then bring her back to life using the electric shockers in order to get rid of the thing. Imagine, for instance, imagine like a factory reset, like my computer's trying to tell me to do. But it's essentially they had to reset her body so that the ghost would stop being weird. But the ghosts, we learn, have started to use the Darkhold, and that's how they've been trying to like recreate this thing that they're trying to build. It's kind of vague and kind of hard to understand, but they're using this book, and this book can tell them all these things. And the book is written in every language possible, so whoever's reading it, whatever language that they understand, they use that. But it's really confusing. But we learn that Ghost Rider can kill the ghosts. So Ghost Rider goes in and kills most of the ghosts and gets rid of all of the problems, resolving that part of the issue. Leo Fitz, who's my favorite character, Ghost Rider and Coulson become these weird ghost things where they're in a parallel dimension. They're in between dimensions, essentially. And Radcliffe and Ada, Ada using the Darkhold, which tells her how to build not only an interdimensional gateway, which gets them back, which was one of the coolest scenes in anything I've seen. It was really, really cool, where they had this camera swivel around, and like it felt like you were transporting into two different dimensions. It really was super cool. And that kind of gives Ada the idea that maybe she can create her own world, where everything is fine and she can feel things. Her goal in the entire series is to become human so she can actually like feel emotions and like skin and like feel that, which in my opinion is a fantastic, like a really, really, really solid reason for having her be the way that she is, because naturally she wouldn't necessarily be a bad person, but this gives her a good reason to be bad, and it was quite good. I forgot to mention who played Ada. I don't remember who played it. I'm very sorry, but I will put her picture here. That's the girl that plays Ada. I apologize for not writing down the name, but she was really, really fantastic. One of the better performances in the season, in my opinion, just being able to play kind of robotic, and then in the end really using her facial features to exaggerate the fact that she's human. Let's see. So once they get the interdimensional gateway going, they're able to bring the team back, and at this point, in between all this chaos, May created a robotic double for Ada created fake May that's robotic. But no one notices because she's not programmed to tell people that she's robotic. So she's programmed to act like regular May would, which is interesting and worked really well for them. And what happens with the regular May is they put her into this place called the Framework. And the Framework is basically this imaginary world. Imagine like virtual reality, but on a way bigger scale. So essentially, they put May into this fake world, and they give her what she kind of wants, or what they think that she would want. So she becomes like one of the leaders of Hydra, which is really weird, but she does. And she's in the Framework now. So she thinks she's in this. She thinks what the world that she's in is real, but it's not. It's fake. It's one of the coolest things in the world. I really enjoyed watching that. Let's see. Then Radcliffe and Ada turned many of the agents into robots and put them onto the framework. Such as Coulson becomes a history teacher and just kind of like is relaxing. And Leo Fitz becomes the doctor, who is the head of Hydra and is super mean and awful and just really an awful, awful person. It's really bad. Simmons and Daisy and Mac go into the place, the framework. There we go. To break them out, and really, I don't want to talk about it too long because it's already kind of a long video, but it's cumulatively one of the best seasons in the world. And essentially, Ada becomes real, and then they kill her, Ghost Rider kills her, and then that's kind of the end of the season, really. It doesn't sound very climactic, but I promise you there's a lot more to it. I just don't want to talk about everything here. If you do want a full recap, I can do recaps. Just let me know, and I'll start making recaps. Overall, a super, super solid season. I think the special effects for this season were amped up to the next level. They've always been good, but this was really, really good. And then I've already watched season 5, and season 5 is even better in my opinion, particularly with the special effects, but also considering the fantastic storylines we follow in that season. It is remarkable. They brought an MCU movie and put it into TV, and honestly, it worked fantastic. It was flawless. It was fun. It was witty at times. It was scary at times. Really, really solid. Really, 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 really good season. If you haven't watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I really would recommend it. All the seasons are on Netflix, so I recommend you guys start watching it. It's kind of long, and the first season's hard to get through. But once you get through the first season, the rest of the seasons are very good. But for this season, which is season 4, I am going to give it an A. I don't give it an A+ for a variety of reasons, mainly because I didn't like the design of Ghost Rider, and some parts of the plot for every season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. have been slow. And I feel like if they just cut part of it out, they would make it better, which for season 6 and 7, I heard that they are not 24 episodes long, not 22 episodes long. So I'm hoping that they understand that it doesn't need to be long to tell a good story. So looking forward to watching the next couple seasons. I'll be watching those soon. But that's it for today. Tomorrow, tune in for The Way, Way Back, which is another Steve Carell film. But that's really all I have for you guys today. So I hope you guys are having a really good week. As always, keep watching film and television, and stay educated, and I'll see you guys in the next video.